Hi, everyone.
Hello. Glad you could join us.
Yes. So, as usual, Mari-Lyn and I have been sitting here discussing all kinds of things, as we always do.
Lots.
And so
Yeah.
then we sort of have to pare it down to, well, what are we going to talk about today in the podcast?
hmm
And I think what we came up with was a lot of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. How we lie to ourselves, how we've always lied to ourselves, and we don't even realize that's what we're doing. It
Yeah.
kind of goes along with last week's podcast about how our body holds on to trauma and wounding our
Yes.
and then
Yes.
and then from there we lie to ourselves.
Yes. It
Yeah.
really does go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of these lies we tell ourselves begin at an early age.
Yes. Yes.
Not always, in our like first 5 years of life, not always.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, a lot of my lies started, I'm going to say at that preteen, that tween age.
What? Yeah. Yeah. But I'm going to add to that the seed was already planted. There's some backward or confusing belief systems that come before that. And I think in that age that preteen is when we start to try to make sense of a lot of it. And so then the lies come because we really don't get it.
hmm We can't make sense of it. And so what we believe has to be true.
Right. Yes.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
So there a lot blah, 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 blah. So if we were I know I have so much to say and it's like not coming. I was just thinking of what lies are we talking about? Because people are like, well, are you going to get to it? You're going to tell me the lies? What lie? How am I lying to myself? I'm not lying to myself. Yes,
Okay.
there's a lie right there. I'm not lying to myself.
Not lying to myself.
Yeah.
I am always honest. That's a lie.
Ooh. Yes.
That is a lie right there
Yes.
because we are always lying to ourselves.
Yes.
We are trying to convince ourselves of things that other people want is what we want.
Yes.
That's a lie.
Yes.
Your partner wants something really badly and you absolutely don't want it, but you're a people pleaser. So you're going to convince
Mm,
yourself that
yes.
you want it too.
Yes.
Maybe you don't even realize it, but you're lying. You're lying to yourself.
Here's another one. Now, I still would consider it to be a lie, and it's absolutely understandable. It's something that we all do, and I think it's a very necessary lie.
Okay.
Hey, Pam, how are you today? Oh, I'm good, thank you. You don't go into that shit with everyone. Like you walk into the grocery store and you see someone you haven't seen for a while, or maybe you walk into work or whatever, and how are you? There's that standard thing that we always say that oftentimes is a lie. Like, I'm not going to tell whoever in the grocery store, you know what? I woke up pissed off today. And, like you just don't go there. Or,
Well,
I had a fight with
yeah, sorry. I do go there.
Oh,
Yeah, go there.
Okay. Well, I have a
Mhm.
standard, I'm good, thanks. And oftentimes that's true. But even when it isn't, I have that standard because hi, how are you is kind of a standard greeting. At least it is for me. I say that.
It is. And I will I started being honest when I realized people say, "How are you?" and they don't mean it.
Oh, yes. So,
You're
okay,
going to ask
let's
me?
throw it at them then, right?
You're going to ask me, I'm going to tell you.
Okay,
That,
well, that's good. That's good.
that is. Now, do I do that all the time?
No.
No, I don't.
Right.
sometimes, yes. Sometimes I blatantly point out, "Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm doing so well. How are you?"
Right? They're doing everything. Woo, look at the time. Gotta
You know, there are those
go.
times when that passive aggressiveness will come out,
Yes, yes.
but and sometimes I will just temper it with, "I'm okay. Thank you. How are you?"
And that's just sort of those, I think those just societal niceties that you just sort of say. So,
Mhm. They are, and
yes.
in my
And those really aren't the lives we're talking about today, but this is a good topic anyway.
and it is because it ki I mean, it kind of brings up a lie that I tell to myself that, you know, the lie that I tell myself when somebody's just being kind, they're trying to make a connection and they say, "How are you?"
Uh-huh.
The lie I tell myself is, "They really don't care how I am, and they shouldn't be asking me if they don't care."
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
Yes, I could, yep,
and
sure.
that is a lie.
Yes,
That is a lie. They may not care to
right,
know the details, and it's none of their business to know the details.
right.
But in the big picture, if somebody is going to make a connection with you, there is a level of caring in there,
Yes.
even if it's a selfish thing.
Well, but also you being the one to answer that question to say, oh, they don't really care about me. Well, do you really know that? Do you,
Yep.
you know, and is it one of those, no one likes me, no one, whatever, I'm gonna go eat
Yep.
work. You know,
Yep.
that's yeah. So we all do a little bit of lying. So that whole,
Hmm.
and I think I know what people mean by I'm a really honest person, you know, or I'm an honest person, whatever. However, I can say that as many clients as I've had, when there's certain thing, I'm going to use this as an example because it came up. If that's what you tell me, I immediately know there's some wounding in there. There's a reason that you have to clarify with me how honest you are, that you don't tell lies, that you don't, that there's some, it could be all kinds of things, but
It's kind of along those lines of, I'm going to butcher this. He doth protest too much.
yes, 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 exactly. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And so woof, this is a big one. But let's just
This is
let's
this is a big one.
we've kind of gone around in circles on this. So let's
Yep.
just sort of jump in. Should we start with something like codependence? That's a big I now you and I have talked about
Okay.
well, here's something though. Now codependence looks has many disguises. Talk
So
about
many disguises.
many disguises.
Yes.
And depending on the person, depending on the situation, depending on the wounding,
Mhm.
it's really big umbrella.
Mhm.
And I do believe, and I think you agree with me because we've had conversation about it, that as a collective, as a whole, our world, we have really come down to understand what codependence is. I think it's a worldwide thing, it's a human thing, and it's a collective thing.
Mhm.
Even like narcissists, they're codependent. That just it just looks different. And there's like
Looks sure.
however many different types of narcissist and then codependence and there's people please and there's all these
Mhm.
different
It's
things.
like a chain link fence that just keeps growing.
Oh yes, yes.
All the different links, um, of codependency,
And
and
I
it
do believe, and what we see the most of, certainly in like in the media, in the political realms, in what is narcissism at its best or worst, depending on which way you want to say that. If you like the person, they're not narcissists. If you don't, then they are. But and I think it's because we've really all come down we're working on it. We really want to understand it. We want to eradicate it. That
Mhm.
is something that is really, I think, propelling us forward as a whole, as a collective.
I
I
agree.
don't know of one client over however many years I've been doing this that doesn't have some piece of codependency to heal. Some not as much as others, some a lot, some it's always in there though. Always. Every one of us experiences codependency in one form or another. And it's ugly. And it's a lie. Talk about lies.
Yeah, it is a lie. It is a lie.
I have to help this person. Well,
That I am the only one that can help this
yes.
person.
Yes, I can fix it. I can,
I am responsible for it.
yes. If I fall on my sword, everything's going to be better.
Yes.
There's so many things.
Yes. Bankrupting myself is worth
Yes.
this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I know there's a lot more, but that's what's coming up right at the surface.
Yeah, the amount of ego that is involved in codependency
Yes. Yes.
um is gross.
It's gross. And that's the lie.
I can speak I
Or
can
where the
speak
lie
to
comes from.
that. I
Yeah.
can speak to that because I've been there. I've
Yep.
done that. I've been that.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I have been that. I have
I have
been
as well.
so stinking codependent
Yeah.
that I made myself sick.
Yeah.
Like literally. And it is a hard thing to look at.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to look at the lies that you tell
Oof.
yourself
Yeah.
and the lies you tell other people
Yes.
to hide your codependency. The
Yeah.
lies and the excuses, um, the lies you tell the people you're codependent with, and the lies that you tell the the outer ring to hide
Yes. Yes.
it. It's
It's never ending. It's like
it
it's
is a horrendous monster.
pervasive. Yes.
Yes, that is a beautiful, ugly word.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so telling the lie that if I don't do this, this person won't love me.
Yes. Yes.
If I don't do this, this person is going to really be hurt. If
I'm
I
an
don't,
I'm an
yeah,
empath.
I'm an empath and I know how much they're going to hurt.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Oh,
I
yes. And here's another thing too. I'm sorry, I totally threw you out with that empath.
nope, nope. There's so much to say around that.
Yes.
Just not going to.
I know. That's a whole, I think we've already done some talking on the whole empath thing, but
Yeah.
um the amount of people also who no, and I've certainly dealt with this. I know you have too. Being a healer and being codependent, there's a lot of work to be done there. We can really fool ourselves into thinking that we're really helping people or what? What are you laughing at?
Finish your thought and then I'll tell you.
Um, that's one of the things. So when, as you all know, I'm a teacher and I teach energy healing. And one of the things that I do with all of my students is the student, does a lot of healing. It's got to be a lot of healing. And codependence always comes up within that.
Yes.
And we fool ourselves. This is another thing. This kind of goes with the empath thing. We fool ourselves into thinking, well, it's because I'm a healer, because I'm an empath and that's a lot to sort of untangle in there.
It is a lot to untangle. So what I was laughing at is, as a healer and as healing the codependency, it's really easy to lie to yourself that you're doing more healing than you really are.
That joke.
What is so easy is to twist the perspective.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I might have changed and I'm doing it differently. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just doing it differently now.
Yes.
Or I've changed the verbiage around it.
Yes.
It's so easy to trick ourselves into
Yes.
believing that we're really healing and we're not.
Right.
And that's because of the lies we're telling.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
So, how do we, and I have lived the answer to this, but how do we begin to be honest
Yeah. That's
about the codependency?
that's really hard. It really is. And
It is.
in my opinion, my humble opinion, is that it has to be someone has to call us out on it. Someone else has to point to it for us to see it. I don't know of anyone who all on their own just went, oh, this is codependent. This is how I'm doing it. This is what it looks like for me. I always think there's a catalyst at some point, whether the person points it out or not, or
Right.
all of a sudden you get so sick one day, whether it's physically, usually it's physically, and you're like, okay, there's some realization in there that you cannot help this person. And not only can you not help them, you have made a bigger hole than needs to be there.
Oh, yeah. I think my very first inkling that I was codependent,
Mhm.
I was doing light research on codependency for someone else
Yes. I was
because
just say, I bet it was for someone else. Yes, yes.
I thought, I think this person's codependent. What's that really mean? What? And so I started reading it. And one thing that really stuck out for me was if you are continually agreeing to do something
Mm-hmm.
and then you resent the other person for
Yes,
you resent the other person because
yes,
you did it,
yes.
there's a clue.
Yep.
Well, I had resentment up the wazoo.
Yes,
That really made me look hard.
yes,
Now it took a long time. It took a really long time from that realization.
yes.
I mean, it took years to where I was finally able to say, no,
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yes.
And I would be lying if I didn't say the guilt and the shame
Yes.
after saying no that very first time, but there was no resentment.
Yes. Nice. Yes.
No resentment, zero, none.
What's coming for me is when you continually, it's your job, whatever, why you've chosen this job to help this person. And that person only comes around when they need that type of help only from you.
Yep.
There's a really good chance there that there's some codependence going. When you can't
Oh, yeah.
set a boundary, when you can't just stay in your own house, you've got to go out to the backyard, peek over the backyard, maybe even jump over that fence and and get in there. Really, for me, the hardest thing with codependence and the most liberating was when I could actually see it. The see that I needed to put up that boundary and feel that boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna stop this right here. And then they twist and shout and do everything to try and get you to do it again. And then they just go off somewhere else. And it never changes. If you are continually helping, in quotes, helping someone and that situation never gets better, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And you're taking that person's lessons from them. That's another huge thing. That really, I think, hit home with me. It was a conversation I was having with Fred, and you're taking that person's lessons from them. So not only are you not learning, but they aren't either.
Right.
Yeah, that was hard for me. So, so as a healer, that's another, and I know we've talked about it too, but we have to be healed to help others heal. We are only as good as our wounding.
Mhm.
And you can't help anyone. First of all, you can't help anyone. They have to, it's all certainly it's all about spirit.
Yes.
And it's when you're ready, and I will be here to support you. But yeah, but there's that lie there that I can help them. I used to do that time. Yes, I am thankful that I am now at a time in my career that I get to choose who I work with and who I don't work with.
Mhm.
And I'm healed enough to make that distinction and draw a line or put up that boundary or whatever. And I know now, because it used to be, oh, I can help everyone. Oh, you need my help? Oh, and it was just icky. It was that codependence. It was that people pleasing. It was that thinking that I could really, thinking that I was doing the work. That's what it is with the healer piece. I was thinking I was doing the healing. I'm not doing crap. I'm like 10% of it, if that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of went off on this little
no,
thing in
I
my
saw you.
brain
I saw it.
about enabling.
Oh, yes.
And I think, well, codependence and enabling are not exactly the same.
No,
There is still some codependency
I
in
think
being
they're,
an
would,
enabler.
would you say they might be cut out of the same cloth, but they're not the same piece?
I think the enabling is a piece of
Yeah.
codependency, but it's not full-blown codependency. And when you have when you have a codependent enabler,
Oof. Yeah.
that was me.
Uh,
That was me. The codependent enabler.
well, and that happens a
Oh man,
lot
that
with,
takes my breath away.
and you're not that anymore. You've done lots of healing.
I
I've
have
been,
done lots of
I've been
healing,
right by your side for much of that healing.
but I have to be honest that yes, there are times where I still make that choice.
Yes, as do I. Yes.
Um, but this is
Yes.
a big but. It is a choice.
It's a choice.
It
Right.
is a choice, and I have to remind myself every time,
Yeah.
wait a minute, you just made that choice. You could have, you
Yes.
know, so accept your responsibility
Yeah.
in what you just did and
And don't blame the other person or hurt the other
no,
person or
no,
do something um, because you willingly walked into that, whatever.
willingly. Yep.
And
Yep.
that's part of, I know I've talked about before, and this is actually how I met Mari-Lyn. When I was doing group meditations, I'd have a room full of recovering alcoholics, drug addicts, etc.
Hmm.
And codependence was the main thread through that room. That comes very much with alcoholism. And then whoever's enabling them on top of it. Like it's just such a destructive thing. It's so destructive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the lies that we tell ourselves,
Yes.
I mean, the lies that we tell ourselves around codependency anyway are,
Yeah.
endless.
Yes.
You add an addiction of any kind to that,
Oof.
and the lies that we tell ourselves around addiction are, again, they're endless.
Yes.
Um, lying to, well, I can only speak to drinking because that was me, but lying as to why am I drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Lying as to why am I angry if I'm not drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, lying about the enabling that happens around me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not enabling. They just care about me.
Right. Oof. Yeah.
The lies that the enabler is telling you
Ooh.
and themselves,
Mm.
and we do it to protect ourselves.
Yes. And you need to keep up those lies.
Yes.
That's part of the gig. That's part of whatever that addiction is. It's a lie. Everything's a lie.
Everything's a lie.
Just the lie that I have to have this drink, or I have to have this hit, or I have to have whatever. That's a lie.
That is a lie.
That is a lie.
And that leads me into the lies we tell our bodies.
Oh, yep.
Every time that I decided I was not going to drink and I ended up drinking, I am telling myself, I need this. I cannot function without it.
Yes.
Well, pretty soon you begin to believe that.
Yes.
And your body begins to believe that
I was,
lie.
yes. Our bodies do pick up that lie and run with it. And then it becomes second nature to do whatever it is, because our body is, yes.
And therein lies part of the addiction.
Yes.
And yes, part of the addiction.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
the lie that we tell our body, that our body believes, I need this to function.
Yes. Even my addiction to sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I lie to myself.
Yep.
I will have a craving and I will go rummage through whatever, the pantry or the fridge or whatever it is, to find something, because my body is saying, you need this. That's what that whatever it is, that craving is. You need to have this. You will feel better. That's always you'll feel better.
You'll
So
feel better.
I
You'll be
had
safe.
this big lie that, we talk about comfort eating. That comfort eating is a real thing, but comfort eating is a lie.
Yes.
Our bodies only need the nutrition to stay alive, to move, to,
Yes.
that's what it needs. It needs nutritional food. That's it.
Yep.
It doesn't need that other stuff. Even if it's nutritional food, way overeating, our body doesn't want that either. Our bodies are very good at telling us what they need, how much they need, and when they need it.
Mm-hmm.
But we train them like good little soldiers how to lie to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The issue I am having right now with heartburn medication.
Oh, yes.
I have been on this medication this has not been consistent, but fairly consistent, over 40 years.
Yeah.
That is a long time.
Long time.
A long time. And my body finally has said, I know I don't need this,
Yes.
but I believe I need this.
Yes.
And trying to get myself off of this medication.
Yes.
Now heartburn happens. I mean, we're human, and yes, we put things in our bodies that can create whatever. But for me, right now, my body believes that it is going to have heartburn if it doesn't have this medication.
Yes.
And what a realization to come to know that I really convinced my body that that was truth.
Yes. Yes. Now, please know that we are not saying, there are people who need certain medication. So
Yes.
Please know that we are not saying, we are talking about personal experience with ourselves.
Yes.
And our spiritual journey with these medications.
Yes.
We would never tell anyone not to take a medication or anything.
Never. No.
We've talked about that before with other antidepressants and so forth. But yes, your body now lies and says, I have to have it. When our bodies function very well on their own, they are meant to function well on their own if we treat them properly. Right? Yes.
And yes, defects do happen.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
I personally have no reason to believe that I have any defect in my body. You know,
Mhm.
could I? I suppose there's a slim chance.
Yes.
Hopefully, I never have to go to the route of finding out, but I really don't believe so.
And what I can add to that is there's an underlying issue. There's whatever it is. Now I don't know, and I not going to reveal anything, but there is something under. There was a reason that the heartburn started in the first time, and it probably wasn't from food. There was an emotional component
No.
to it that started it.
Yes.
And we go to the medical profession, and of course they throw pills at us.
Yes.
That's what they do.
In fact, I think we touched on this, you and I, in a conversation earlier this week. And yes, you're absolutely right. It was wounding.
Yes.
It was nothing drastic.
Right. But it
in
doesn't
the
have to be.
in
But
the
then look what
realm.
but 40 years later, look where it is today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was drastic.
Yes.
To me, to my system. And I am going to go so far as to say that alcohol was involved in that,
Sure.
um,
Hmm.
in that scenario.
So
Not surprising.
so looking at things as what emotional, like if there's some health, if you have a health issue,
Hmm.
and not saying don't go to the doctor, please go to the doctor if you're having a health issue.
Hmm.
What I'm saying, in addition to that, look at your body and say what emotional trauma or wounding could be creating this, or could be the underlying factor under.
Yes. If you don't know how to do that,
Yes.
reach out.
Yes.
Reach out to a therapist. Talk therapy can help you do that.
Yep.
Reach out to an energy healer.
Yep.
We can certainly help you do that.
Yes.
We are not meant to do this journey alone. We are not meant to heal alone.
No.
There is a certain amount that, yes, we are responsible for. Yes, we can do on our own.
Yep.
But even Joel, just this morning, there was something I'm trying to work out, and I'm like, nope. So I start talking to Pam. I get Pam's intervention. That frees my brain up, and my body starts to tell me, this is what you need to know.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So thank you for that. And it is just proof again that we are not meant to do this alone.
Right. And
Not in any way.
what also happened was, then after sort of we went through that with Mari-Lyn, it came over in my direction. And my IBS, which is I have still been saying I have IBS, and I just don't think I do anymore. I don't. I have done so much emotional healing over the years that I have wiped it out. I have literally wiped it out. I can still get like a food poisoning or something, which happened a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
The last time was a couple of years ago, maybe it might have been last year. I get all confused, maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. Because I immediately called.
Well, it was summertime, so like year and a half, maybe.
Okay, yeah. So my husband and I were on vacation. And instead of seeing that clearly, that I have food poisoning, I immediately went to, I'm having an IBS episode, and this has to be energetic.
The lie.
The lie, right there, the lie.
To the lie.
I did. I did. I absolutely went to the lie. It would have been, it's still unpleasant, but it wouldn't have been as unpleasant had I been honest and been able to think about it clearly.
Yes.
Think about really, is that what's going on here? But that lie has been for years and years and years and years and years, that has been building up. My body just would always believe, my ego would always believe, oh, this is an IBS episode and it's coming on. But it does become a lie. It does become a lie. But the underlying thing was, it was emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely, I remember way long time ago. I don't remember how many years ago. Long time. I had an energy healer tell me, it's like it's like you're eating yourself from the inside out. And it was from shame and guilt. Yes. And that's exactly what was happening. And I have, done lots of work on that. And I no longer have to lie to but I healed that. But see how the lie stayed? So I healed all of that, or most of it anyway. Who knows? There could be a crazy underground garage in there. But I've healed a lot of it. I don't have those episodes like at all anymore. Yet I still say I have IBS. I have bad IBS. I have whatever. Yep. And that's really not true. So right here, right now, light bulb, thank you. I no longer have that. I don't.
Yep.
Nope. And that was years of crazy suffering and going to regular doctors. And that's just there's a whole hour episode there that I don't want to get into, because that was really, talk about some nightmarish stuff. But yes.
Yeah. The lies we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm. We tell a lot of them.
Yeah. I play piano. I have played piano since I could read. I wanted to take lessons, but the piano teacher said, honey, you can't read. I can't teach you how to read music if you can't read. So I had to wait. I have a piano. I don't play it very often because I heard a lie once and I believed it.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that I can't teach you because you don't know how to read, that's also a lie. So it started way back.
Well, true. She didn't want to teach me because I didn't know how to read.
Right. Because a lot of people can play and they don't read. Read music. I mean, they can read just the music. But yes, the lie. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
The lie. So the lie that I just referenced was like the icing on the cake, right? It really kind of just shut me down for a while. But the what's that called when you're when you're overly self-aware, self-conscious,
yes,
self-conscious. I was so self-conscious that I was going to make a mistake. I would make a mistake.
Yes.
So I rarely could play the piano in front of people. I had to play it at home alone. And even sometimes with family in the room, I couldn't play because I was going to make a mistake. I had to be perfect.
Yes.
And we start to believe that lie.
Yes, we do.
And it's a shame that we deprive ourselves of something that brings us so much joy. I just was remembered at one time this was either just before or just after my husband and I were married. We're at my parents' house. He and my dad are in the basement, and I'm upstairs with my mom, and I'm playing piano. And my husband comes up the stairs and he says, oh my gosh, that was you? I thought you had the radio on.
It's beautiful.
And why that compliment couldn't stick with me.
Right.
And the lies do.
Yep.
I mean, that is for my husband to even say something, for him to even recognize something. I mean, that was a pretty special moment. And so I'm not surprised that, I got a little bit choked up right there talking
Sure.
about it. But do I remember that?
Right.
No, because
Well,
the lies
right.
carry so much more weight.
Yes. And I was going to say, let's talk about that for a minute. So
Yeah.
anything that's in, that we talked about, we have fear and we have love, and
Yep.
everything's within those two sides, those vibrations. Anything that's in love is light and airy and flies by. And yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
And if they're low vibrational, if they're mean spirited, whatever it is, they come into your body and they settle in wherever your lowest sense of worth is. That's where it's going, which is wounding. So you already had wounding, you already had a sense of that you weren't very good at that, you couldn't do it in front of people or whatever. So that's going to be more of what you hear, because it's going to hit you as truth because you have a wound there. So it's going to smack you.
It's like that low vibrational stuff is sticky.
Yep, it's very sticky.
And it just gloms on.
Yes. We are, unfortunately, we are meant to, it's so much easier to hear the bad stuff. It's always easier to hear the bad stuff than the good stuff. We are meant to build our own self-worth and our own confidence, so we don't actually need anyone else to tell us how wonderful we are. So we can feel that on our own. That's truly what we're here to do.
It is unfortunate that that is not taught.
I agree. Yes.
If our children were taught that from the moment they come out of the womb,
Yes.
I would like to believe that humanity is working toward that.
Right. However, we are also here to learn certain lessons. We do choose what we want to learn. And so that's part of the agreement between the people in our lives. And
True, yeah.
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 So sometimes it could be just one act when we were small that left a big old hole there. We tucked away that soul piece, and which I know we've talked about soul pieces, but
Swiss cheese.
the Swiss cheese, yes. And I'll say it again just in case there's I'm sure there'll be new people listening, or maybe you don't remember, whatever. In the shamanic tradition, I don't know if it's all shamanic traditions or just the shaman that I learned it from.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but our soul looks like a piece of Swiss cheese. In each hole, some are bigger, some are smaller, but they represent a time in our life when we were startled or scared. An emotion, a lower vibrational emotion hit us, and we took a part of our soul and hid it away so it wouldn't be bruised again, and it leaves a hole. And so that's that piece there. Yes, I saw that look.
Yeah. So question, I'm wondering if it's possible to have had so many episodes as a young person, and you've got, your piece of Swiss cheese is like so holy.
Thin. Yes.
Right?
Pretty thin. Uh-huh.
As an older person, would that lend itself to being hypersensitive?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, the littlest thing makes you go,
Yes, absolutely.
startle factor.
Okay, and that makes perfect sense, because if there are so many holes in that particular whatever in that area, first of all, you're ungrounded. When you startle, it's because we're just not in our bodies. We are ungrounded. We are even further than dissociated, etc. But if you don't have firm footing, of course you're going to startle a lot. But I do think a lot of that is, well, yeah, you're just out of your body. And we are all out of our body a lot. We teach, Mari-Lyn and I, we teach grounding and grounding and grounding. And that's always the first thing, whether it's one of us, whatever it's a client or a student or a friend or someone says, they're having a hard time, the first thing we say is, are you grounded? Yes, because we do lift up and we're not. Here's a good thing for those of you with grounding. If you want to know if you're first of all, if you're asking yourself if you're grounded, you're probably not. If you touch your feet and you touch your shoulders, if you can barely touch, you barely feel when you're hitting your feet, if that's not equal, if that isn't equal, you are ungrounded. Because usually your shoulders you'll feel them a lot more than if you feel your feet, if that makes sense.
I was just feeling,
Oh,
I'm grounded.
pretty grounded. Good. Yes, I am as well.
Yeah.
Um,
But that is a really weird sensation when you're like, down on your legs or your feet.
your
And then
knee,
you go, whoa.
yeah.
That's weird when you can't.
Yes.
You cannot
And you're
feel
hitting it with the same amount of pressure on your shoulder as, say, like your knee. And
Yep.
it feels like your knee you can barely feel, and your shoulders like,
Oh my God.
yeah. Yes. And those are nice. And that's so even those soul pieces. So I'm sure we've talked about this, I think maybe the last week, but we'll go over it just a little bit because someone needs to hear this.
Mhm.
We have to walk around that hole. So let's say it was around something happened to you maybe more than once as a child. It's not always just one and done. Sometimes it's multiple times it happens, and that's when you finally take a soul piece. Let's say it's around shame. Shame was really big in my family. That's how you discipline. You discipline with you make that person feel bad for what they did, and there's shame there, right? So then you have this big hole because something happened, and that hole is anytime you come near that hole or you step in that hole, whatever, shame hits you. So what you're going to do is everything you can to go around that hole and not hit it so you don't feel the shame. So you learn to lie to yourself. That doesn't bother me, or I'm not going there, or you change the behavior to something else. Oh, I don't feel, so instead of feeling shame, I'm going to get angry with you because you're whatever. Well, that's a lie. You are sort of disguising the shame or disguising this wound as something else to get away from the shame, or whatever it is but that's how we lie to ourselves all the time.
Disguising the wound, but disguising the shame.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't want you to know how I'm feeling, so I'm going to disguise it and look different.
Mhm.
Yeah. And what you had said about children, yes, if one of the sort of the way things go, so we have children at a time in our lives in our 20s and 30s when we're still wounded and we haven't healed all the way, and so then we sometimes, most of the time, very unintentionally wound our children. And then, but that's all part of the spiritual program.
Right.
However, we still can help our children learn to understand what is this feeling I'm having, how to express that feeling, how to say it, and then also how to self-regulate.
Yes.
There's a lot of self-regulating that we need to learn as well. And what comes to me, this is not the type of self-regulating I mean. There, some like if this is an extreme, but growing up, I had this friend whose dad, oh my God, he was such an asshole. He was such a jerk. And my friend had broke her arm and she was in a lot of pain. She needed to go to the hospital, and he was like, suck it up. It doesn't hurt. And in his mind, he was helping her regulate the way she was feeling. She was upset. Right. She was frustrated. She was angry. I mean, all these things because, what did she, I'm trying to remember now what happened. We were in the house she tripped and fell over something. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but then she was also embarrassed. Like there was all of these things. So he was, in his warped mind, he was trying to, instead of comforting her, what?
Well, he was also trying to regulate how he felt.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's usually how it happens, right? We as an adult are trying to do something and it lands on our children. Yes. So I don't know her as an adult, but I will bet you money there's some wounding around about how she expresses her feeling, how she says how she's feeling, how she can say what's going on, how she can say, I was running in the house and I know I wasn't supposed to in this particular room, or, whatever that is, the fear of getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And those are the things, that's when we start lying, and we lie to ourselves. I didn't really do. How many people do we all know who are just lie all the time and they believe every lie they tell?
Yeah. That could even affect her pain tolerance, or what she believes.
Ooh, yes.
What she believes to be her pain tolerance.
Yes.
Going one step further, affecting her self-worth, that she could be in so much pain, but it doesn't matter to anyone else.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
I'm not reading into this person. I'm going from an experience that I have seen personally in a somewhat similar fashion, to where eventually the child just believed, well, I didn't say anything because I just didn't think it mattered.
Yes.
The word was relevant.
Yes.
I didn't feel it was relevant.
And that's a lie.
Yes.
Telling yourself. You are lying by, so as you're sitting there, the kid, the adult, whoever, and you have that overwhelming feeling of keep your mouth shut, keep your goddamn mouth shut, keep it shut. And that may not be the verbiage that's going on in your head, but that's what your body is telling you to do, is shut up. And so you don't say anything. That's a lie. Your body is lying to you. You are lying to yourself. Yes. So these are all the types of lies we're,
Yep.
Woo.
All kinds of lies.
Yes. All kinds.
We tell our bodies, we tell our brain.
Yeah. And it all comes from wounding. It all comes from trauma. It all comes from us just trying to keep ourselves protected. And at some point in all of our lives, we come to the realization that it's time to stop that, because it's frankly just exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
It shuts us down. It can make us collapse in on ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
And
that branches out too. It may not just be in that one particular time that you do that. It branches out to other times when, wait a minute, you like seriously need to be saying something here. You seriously need to open your mouth and speak truth to whatever's happening here. But that lie, as we know, fear is a liar. We talk about fear is a liar, fear is a liar. And that's what's keeping you really from saying something, is the fear, all of that. So really, every type of lie comes from some sort of fear of this magical unseen thing that's going to happen if we don't lie.
Right. So fear of the feeling we're going to have.
Yes.
Feeling of the consequence of the repercussion.
Yes.
From the person.
Yes.
Fear of isolation.
Yes.
Those are just the three that just jump right out at me. And those are pretty big ones.
Yes, they are big. Yes.
Those are pretty big ones.
And you know what? I am an adult, and I do not need to be, if I have done something so, and here's a lie too, that we've done something so heinous that this person is going to be mad at us.
Yes.
That's just a lie. So if you are walking on eggshells of pins and needles, whatever you want to call it, you're afraid to speak up because that person's going to be upset with you. First of all, you might want to look at the codependence that's going on there.
Yep.
But that, if that's really, think about, is that you making that up? Is that the lie you're telling yourself, or is that person actually going to do that? That used to be, because of the way I was raised, that was something that I believed a lot. My husband he never gets mad at me. Like, he's the most patient person. He is understanding. He sees things really clearly. That was something that something similar to what we're talking about, but I wouldn't say something because he's going to be mad at me. What a crock of crap that was. What a lie. And all that fear did not come from him. So I put that on him. How unfair is that to that other person too? That was so unfair of me to do to myself, first of all, and then to do to him. That was not him. He did not deserve me thinking that way about him, because that never, and the times that I was able to speak, he showed me time and time again that he was never going to be mad at me for, whatever the silliness was, but that was my wounding.
Right.
My wounding. That's also with what comes up too, is when people, they talk about like going from one relationship to another, one partner to another. Don't take that baggage from this relationship and take it into the next one and blame that next person. There's someone out there that need to hear that too, because I can't think of anywhere in my life where that's happening right now, in my life or even with my clients. So there's someone out there that needs to hear, you are getting out of a relationship. Be really honest about that relationship. Be honest about why you were there, what happened, why it's falling apart or has fallen apart, why you're leaving. Be really clear about that. Do some healing on it. Do some contemplation about it. Get some clarity on it before you move on to the next person, because it is going to go to the next person. And that next person doesn't deserve that. Nor do you. You don't deserve it either. And speaking of relationships, yes, did you have something to say?
You can finish your thought. You might be going where I'm thinking.
I don't know. No, go ahead. Because I was going to kind of stay in relationships, but I was going to switch gears.
So, when we are in a relationship and our behavior is not optimum, and the other person starts to know that, and they start to act a certain way to avoid that behavior. And if I get too convoluted, let me know.
I will.
And then the person with that bad behavior starts to heal, and they start to change, and they don't do that behavior anymore.
Right.
But the other person is still stuck.
Yes.
In that old behavior, and then they begin to lie to themselves that it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Something I want to add to that.
Yes.
Just because you stop a behavior does not mean you healed it. We can do a 180 and stop doing that particular behavior because we're whatever. Like, usually it's because, say, like a child, you learn that your alcoholic parent is going to scream at you if you get up in the morning and turn the TV on too loud to watch cartoons.
Right.
So you change that behavior so you don't get screamed at.
Right.
And that goes for adults as well. So there was something in that made me say, okay, are you that really healing versus I just changed the behavior? That's another thing.
That is another thing. I'm talking about, you have done the healing, and and the behavior is changed because of the healing.
Nice. Yes.
But the other person is still stuck in that other frame of mind, which eventually becomes a lie that they tell themselves they can't move they can't move past that.
Yeah.
I completely lost why I wanted to bring that up.
Guess I just went off in all kinds of
Uh, but
Mhm.
we aren't always, sometimes we are on the other end of the lie.
Yes. Here's a lie, since we're talking about relationships, because this has come up recently with someone I know. She so badly wants a certain type of man, right?
Okay.
What she wants. She wants this sort of elevated, this type of man. And I had to be the friend who said, well, what are you offering that person? You know, you're lying to yourself saying that you can get that type of man, but as we are looking at each other right now, you are not you have not done enough healing to warrant offering this man the counterpart of what he is, if that makes sense. There has to
Yeah.
be a balance.
Right.
That happens a lot. I think that happens a lot. We want a certain type of man. And also, okay, and here's another thing. One of the things that she does is she fools herself. She'll see this behavior from someone, and she immediately thinks, oh, he's this wonderful man. And because her wounding, you where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wounding is lying to her, and she's not taking the time to think clearly. Is this just a facade he's putting on? Is he just in a really good mood today? Is he what? And she jumps right into relationships, and she jumps right in like the relationship has already been there for years. You know, she's one of those that like jumps in.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's a lot of lying going on.
There's a lot of self lies going on there.
If
Yeah.
we want a partner, man, woman, who we believe it, we have to match that energy. We have to do enough healing. You will attract the person who is best for you.
Yes.
You attract by the wounding. We really do. We attract, and we don't always see that. We don't see that I'm codependent, this person's a narcissist. And that's how we attract. We connect through that unhealed empathy, is how we attract each other. So anyway, we got way out, or I did. Sorry, that was probably me, I guess. But relationships, yeah, as you heal, you get stronger. To come to Mari-Lyn's part too, because Mari-Lyn and I have both done so much healing, and
It's true.
our husbands shift right along with us as we heal. We are so in tune with our husbands, and we talk to them, but they shift right along with us as we grow. They grow. That does not always happen. Mari-Lyn and I have many times said how grateful we are to our spouses, many a time. If you are with someone who does not appreciate your growth, who does not cheer you on, who does not support you, who does not recognize that, what I'm getting is there's someone listening who has a partner who is very jealous of them, does not want them to better themselves because that partner feels so crappy about themselves and
Right.
they don't want to change. There's a lot of lies going on there. And so you may have to walk away from that relationship, whoever this is that I'm picking up on. You may have to walk away you have to do it for yourself. However, do give that person, depending on how long you've been together, if you have children, whatever, do give that person a certain amount of time to see if they're going to come around. Like, don't just overnight go, oh, I'm healing, that person's still not doing it, so I'm out. There's got to be a couple weeks in there where
there is,
wait to see if they're making some efforts, if they're turning.
Right. There is a process to a partner kind of catching up.
Yes.
And there is also communication that is so important.
Yes.
So important.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes. And there's a lot of fear. Talk about fear and lies around communication, about being able to communicate,
Yeah.
especially
Uh,
when you're married for a long time or in
like
that same relationship for a long time.
like the lie we tell ourselves that being vulnerable is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The lie we tell ourselves about vulnerability keeps us from so much, keeps
Yes.
us from experiencing things. It keeps us from growing.
Yes.
And if we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable in a relationship, that gives the other person permission to be vulnerable back.
Yes.
And sometimes they need that permission more than once
Yes. Yes.
to really, to really take a hold of it.
Yes.
Um,
You
but it's worth it.
you see that a lot with people who have real control issues. They're so afraid of being vulnerable because of however they were, their childhood, they had
Whatever
no
their wounding, yeah.
boundaries, there are all kinds of things that could happen. And they're so fearful of being vulnerable. They are missing out on so much. And I've had I've had my times of vulnerability as well, not wanting to be vulnerable because of the way I was raised. So it's happens to all of us, but some of us it's more of an issue because that we really came down to learn that we really those things that are much those things that we have like 3 underground garages to, those, those are the ones that we really came down to. Like, we want to heal that this lifetime, we're healing this thing because I'm not coming back to do this crap again.
It's bad enough when there's one underground garage, but when we get down to the underground garages of the underground
Yes,
garage, those suck. Those just really suck.
yes,
But I will say that those those really deep ones that have those multiple
yeah,
underground garages, each time you hit one,
yeah.
it is not as painful as we think, and it doesn't
Oh,
last,
the
doesn't
fear
last
is
as long.
greater. Yes, that
Fear
fear.
is so
Yes,
much greater. Because as soon as you realize what it is, oh my God, this is the third crazy underground garage,
yes, yes.
you know, then all the misery goes out of it and you just get to it. You just
Yep,
get to work and you recognize the lies
yep,
right away.
yep,
You 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 displace the lies. And
yep.
yeah,
And there's a lot you just don't remember. Because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I know I've had things that have had underground garage to an
yep,
underground garage, right?
yep,
And I'm sitting here, honestly, I know that through healing the trauma with my mother, I know I've had those things. I
yep.
know I've had the underground garages, multiple. But honestly, sitting here, thinking about what those were and who I was, the way that I acted then, the lies, it's really hard for me to come up with it. It really is. And
It is
that's
for me too.
also part of the beauty of healing. It's gone. You just don't have to look back. There's
Yep.
nothing there is no reason to go back and,
None.
and shift or sift through any of that.
No.
And I just thought I could go back through some of my journals if I kept them. I'm not a big journal writer, but I was thinking I could go back and look through and see all. But I don't keep journals.
So I have been a journal
Damn, now
writer.
I wish I would have kept journals.
Mm-mm. I have been a huge journal writer. Um, I don't know if it started before I got sober, but in sobriety, definitely. No, it did. It started before sobriety. And I kept them around for a really long time.
Mhm.
The freedom when I destroyed those,
Oh,
immense,
beautiful.
because I knew I could still go back and grab onto it. I could still go back
Yeah.
and relive it. And as soon as they were gone, destroyed, the amount of healing that I allowed to happen
Yes.
because of that.
And
Was
allowed to is a big part of that.
yes, allowed to.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that. Remembering the crazy underground garages, because
Yep.
I know I had some around codependency.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
That's all I know. That's all I know. Don't want to go digging around and uncover it all though.
Just,
Don't need to.
and I know I have
others.
said this before, but I'm going to say it again because it bears repeat. There have been times when something happened and my kids, who are now adults, would stop and look at me, not in fear, but like waiting for a certain response. And I'm like, doing something else. And they're like, oh, Mom, we were both waiting for you to do this, whatever, get angry or say something or whatever, and you didn't. And I'm sitting there like, huh? I don't even remember having that weird behavior or
A beautiful thing.
expressing that way. Oh, it was what, and it happened a couple times, and I just hugged them and thanked them. Like, thank you for noticing. Thank you for saying something. Thank you for being so supportive of me that I have healed that shit, and I just don't remember it. Nothing. Nope,
Yeah.
not there.
That is a beautiful thing.
Yes, it's wonderful. Yeah. It's wonderful. And we haven't even talked about if we're still in the mood to keep talking, how I think we started with it, or we've kind of gone around the bend here, how all these lies affect our physical well-being.
Oh my God.
I know we've talked about it in other podcasts and stuff, but it's so worth, yes. Yeah. So like we talked about, like my IVF, and that was all so the wounding, because I was unable to, because it hit me as an adult. I was unable to regulate myself. I was unable to see that this is wounding. I was unable to see the lies I was telling myself. I was unable to see the missing soul pieces and all of the things that go with that. My body suffered for it, and I was literally eating myself from the inside out. That's how it was taking hold of my body. And we hear it all the time. Back problems, teeth problems, headaches. Yes, all of that. And a lot more. A lot more. We have met people who are just physically disabled, and I have this problem and that problem and this and that and the other. And they are such emotionally miserable people. So much of that came from the emotional abuse on themselves, because we do abuse ourselves emotionally.
Oh, yes, we do. I am going to say my lies lent to teeth grinding.
Yes.
Now, I also believe that that is in some way inherited. I don't know or understand, but
well, I do, but you keep going.
Okay. Could even be a like an acquired behavior.
Yep. And our body devas, our physical bodies have ancestry.
Yes.
And so our physical bodies do come in with some of those same characteristics, grinding the teeth, whatever that is. Some of it's from watching the person, obviously, we can see it, but they have done studies on this, like with twins that have been separated, or were adopted, and they meet their parent for the first time, and they're adults, and they have the same weird
mannerisms and
right.
Yes. Yeah,
because our physical body, yes, has ancestry. Yeah.
Yes. I also believe firmly my lies worsened that.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Neck pain.
Yep.
The muscle memory is horrendous.
Yes.
The memory that our bodies are capable of is amazing.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. And the back pain.
Oof. I was gonna say there was a time, like when we first met, you would, we've been what, like an hour, just over an hour. You would not have been able to sit down this long. Your back would have been so sore. You would have been up, and look, you're perfectly fine. You're comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done so much healing and it's stuck in your back, and it's just, yeah.
Mhm.
Now, does it solve the entire problem? No, because once it hits our physical body then can really become bruised and
Yes.
battered, and what, real illness can set in. But very often there is a big emotional component to it.
Yes. And that emotional component can come before, during,
Oh,
or
yes.
after.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And it all lands in our body. And they, but the medical community, at least the mental health community, is starting to come around to realizing that. Like
Yes.
with fibromyalgia, they realize but there are some really great physicians out there who are starting to go, there's some correlations here. So they're a little slow on the uptake, but they're coming around, which is wonderful.
So, our posture,
Yes, as I shift.
our posture, our body language,
Yep.
it's all affected from the lies we tell ourselves.
Yes.
And even, I mean, yes, the detrimental, can make us be
Yep.
slumped. But there are even the lies that we tell ourselves that bolster us up.
That's exactly, yep. I know someone, and this person just flew through my mind, and she has beautiful posture. It beautiful. She is beautiful. Excuse me. She has the lowest self-esteem, I think, of anyone I know. Her clothes are perfect. She spends lots of money on all kinds of, her appearance and all of these things. And she has zero self-esteem. What a lie that is. But her body is holding her up. Or, sorry, I'm going to mute for a second.
Okay. So in that lie that we tell ourselves of our self-worth, and I can't let anybody know. And we can really train our body to be stiff and stoic.
Yes.
And presenting in a way that is not, well, it's not honest.
Right.
And that's really so confusing.
Yes.
To the body, to the brain,
yes.
Because, the emotion doesn't match what
right.
the body's doing. Although I will say that sitting up really straight sure feels better than not.
But this certain person that I'm talking about, she gets major headaches. There are, she doesn't feel good a lot. Like there is a lot going on with her physical.
So there's no faking it till she makes it.
No, at some
There's
point,
no faking it until she internally, emotionally
love that. Nope.
it takes it on.
It has to be the other way around. Has to be the other way around. Yes. Yep.
And even, see, faking it till you make it, to me personally, is one of the worst lies we can tell ourselves.
Oh, yes.
It just is.
Yes.
Because if we're faking it, does it ever really become genuine?
Right. Right. Also, here's another one that goes right along with that: success. What is success to me?
The lies we tell ourselves about what success is.
About what success is. Yes.
Ooh,
That's huge.
that is a big one.
Yeah, that's huge. And that just gave me absolute chills.
Right.
And
Because
we,
we look at things and we go, ooh, that's success. But do
yes,
we really take the time? And I think I just heard you say it and I was talking over you.
go ahead.
What does success mean to
Yeah,
me?
yeah, yes. There are, so I'm just going to give this example because it comes up. We have our podcast, and we have it as a podcast and on YouTube, and we have different listeners for both, but we have, and then we have our paranormal YouTube channel, right? We don't have millions of subscribers or views, whatever.
Nope.
Some people see that like that's their idea of what success is. They'll wonder why we don't have more, or this is, or we get emails. We've had several. I can help you get more. You need to have more. And both Mari-Lyn and I, and that's the typical way. That is social media. That's how most people score their worth. That or their success. I'm only going to be successful when I have this many. Well, that's your goalposts are going to keep moving. But that's not how we rank success. That to us, where was I going with that? So it's just about, so success is really, true success is how we feel about ourselves. True success is having self-worth and knowing who you are. That's what true success is. This other stuff, the likes and the subs and the views and the downloads and the whatevers, of course, we are here. And for us, success is really every time we get that email that says that it really touched someone.
Yeah.
We love those emails. A few of them have made us tear up.
There's been a few.
Yes.
There's been a few, yeah.
Yes. So let's not fake it till we make it. Let's look at what we think success is and go with the truth. What is a million viewers really going to make you feel successful? No. And it'll never be enough. Then you'll get to that million. Then you'll say, well, it has to be, 1.5. And then like at what point are you filling yourself up from the inside? And that's where success is. If you're looking at someone else doing something, and you're jealous of that or envious, whatever, or that's when I would be successful. If I could do that, that's where, that's their journey. It's not yours.
Right. What's coming around that is, it's kind of an offshoot of it, is comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yep.
Seeing, well, let's just take somebody who has a million views or whatever. If that is your
definition or whatever
definition of success, and that's what you want to be, and you think that you're going to be as successful as this other person, you're going to have what they're showing.
Yes.
Take a moment, because all you see is the highlight reel.
Yep.
All you see is the glitz.
What they want you to see.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Exactly. You don't know what's behind the scenes.
Nope.
You don't know how miserable they might be.
And there are going to be places in their life where they are. I mean, certainly.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Mari-Lyn, you and I have really talked about a lot. I don't know if we've talked about it on air or not, but we we don't want to just show our highlight reel. That's not what we are about. We do want to tell you our successes. We do want to say, this is what happens when you heal.
Yes.
But we really want to say, look, we all have pain. We all have wounding. We all go through this. This is part of life. And to try and support you and to help people, to inspire people to heal and to move. If we got on here and there are many of them, and you all know them if you watch other or listen to other spiritual people, they have these beautiful antidotes for things and these beautiful sayings and everything. It's all, but they never say anything personal, ever, ever. They are not willing to say, I hurt
Human
you.
sucks.
Right. And this is my wounding and this is what I've done. It's rare that you hear people do that. And we had a very clear message from Fred. If you get on and do this, you need to be honest about who you are, because that's what's going to inspire people. Fred could all day long give us all kinds of beautiful words to wax on about and all this beautiful stuff. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But we define success differently, I guess. And it's about how we feel about ourselves. And when the stronger you are, the more, because we've been very vulnerable on these podcasts.
I believe we have been very vulnerable.
And there's strength in vulnerability. There's a lot of strength in vulnerability. And we try to bring that to you. Are we perfect? Hell no. I wish I were, but it's not going to be when I'm in this body. No one in a human body is perfect. Whatever perfect is, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I do kind of like that old phrase of perfectly imperfect.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We are perfectly imperfect, and we're supposed to be.
We are supposed to be.
That's part of what's coming up now is sort of a shame in that we can't laugh about our faults more. We can't sort of laugh more about, you and I do, I mean, to each other, but just in general, people, I think one of the human thing, vulnerability is so hard for humans to feel vulnerable because we equate being vulnerable with being hurt. Now you have something on me. Now you can hurt me. I've just given you ammunition to come back. And none of that is true. Especially when you know who you are. Yes. We've had emails or comments or whatever, because we've talked about some of our wounding here. And then someone will say, well, do you think it is this or maybe this? And I have to say, I kind of chuckle at that. What am I trying to say? That typically what we talk about are things that we have already healed or are sort of healing, or we get the big light bulb moments, but we're not here talking to be counseled. We are here to share and and you might want to get back in your lane because we're trying to stay in our lane. Sorry.
Yes, we try to stay in our lane. We try to stay in our own houses, in our own yards.
Yes. In our own house.
In our own house. Yeah. So as you were talking about, being perfect, what was coming was that perfection is really a feeling. It's an emotion of like that perfect love.
Yes.
And
perfect is also another lie, right? But
yes, but that, and I'm not talking about relationship love.
Right.
I'm talking about that spiritual love that you feel maybe with another person or with a situation. That feeling of that overwhelming gratitude and joy that comes really from your heart, that's perfection
I'm
in
also
the moment. Yeah.
I'm also going to add to that, perfection can also be acknowledging that we're not perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. Because none of us are. Whatever perfect is, that word is that's an odd, whoever came up with that word.
And I don't know where, I don't have no idea where it originated from.
No.
Um, other than that emotion. That's what perfection is those spiritual, pure emotions of high vibration.
Yeah.
And somehow throughout humanity, it has been twisted and warped into meaning something other than that it's something we attain.
Yes.
And it's not.
Right.
It's not.
No.
It's that.
Again, from the inside out.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Whew. I feel like I'm winding down. What about you? On the note of perfection.
I think this is the perfect.
Perfect time to stop. Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you everyone for tuning in today and to going down all the different roads with us and different alleyways and talking about different things. If you want to know any more about us, wherever you're listening or watching from, you can find all that information.
Yep.
To go to our website, to email us, whatever. And we thank you all.
We appreciate you all so much. We hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. This was a good one. This was a good talk.
It was. And thank you, Mari-Lyn. So, yes.
You.
Okay. See you all, talk to you all next time. Or I don't see anyone actually. So
I don't see anyone. Y'all will see us.
yes.
Soon.
Yes. Okay. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.